The night was still, the air heavy. The olive trees stood silent, their twisted branches stretching like arms frozen in prayer. A cool wind moved through the garden, carrying the faint scent of earth and leaves. The moon hung low, casting pale light on a man who stumbled forward, his shoulders bowed as if carrying the weight of the world. This was no ordinary night. This was the night before history would fracture. The night before the cross. The night humanity held its breath. Jesus walked into the Garden of Gethsemane, his disciples trailing behind, weary from the long day. They thought it was another night of prayer, but he knew better. Every step he took was heavier than the last. His face, normally so steady, now carried sorrow deeper than they had ever seen. His voice trembled as he spoke. "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow, to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me." The disciples looked at him, confused, uncertain. They wanted to understand, but sleep was already pressing against their eyes. They promised to stay awake. They promised to watch. But promises can be fragile things when fear and fatigue weigh on the heart. Jesus walked further into the shadows. The night wrapped around him like a cloak. He fell to the ground, his hands pressing into the dirt, his forehead touching the earth he had once spoken into being. His voice cracked with a pain that words cannot hold. "Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me." The silence of eternity hung for a moment. Even the stars seemed to pause. And then, with the deepest surrender ever spoken, he whispered, "Yet not my will, but yours be done." And there, in that garden, agony pressed upon him with such force that his sweat became blood. The weight of every sin, past, present, and future, crushed him before a whip or a nail ever touched his body. Betrayal, shame, violence. He trembled, not because he feared pain, but because he carried the horror of separation from his Father. The one who had only ever known perfect love was now tasting the cup of wrath for the sake of the world. Meanwhile, only a stone's throw away, his disciples slept. Their breathing slow, their bodies slumped against the roots of the olive trees. They didn't see the battle being fought just feet away. They didn't hear the cries of the Son of God breaking under the weight of eternity. 3 times he returned, finding them asleep. 3 times he urged them, "Wake up, watch and pray, so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." But they could not stay awake. And so he faced the darkness alone. Suddenly, footsteps, the sound of metal clanking, the glow of torches flickering in the distance. A mob was approaching at their front. Judas, one of his own, a man who had walked with him, eaten with him, laughed with him, a man he had called friend. Judas stepped forward, his face set, though his heart trembled. He greeted Jesus with a kiss, a symbol of affection turned into a weapon of betrayal. "Judas," Jesus said softly, "are you betraying the Son of Man with a kiss?" The soldiers surged forward. Shouts broke the silence. Chains rattled. In panic, Peter drew his sword. With a wild swing, he struck the high priest's servant, cutting off his ear. Chaos erupted. The mob staggered. But Jesus, calm even in arrest, reached out. His bound hands touched the man's wound and instantly healed. "Put your sword away," he commanded Peter. "Do you think I cannot call on my Father, and he would send more than 12 legions of angels? But how then would the scriptures be fulfilled?" He turned to the soldiers, the priests, the leaders of the people. His voice carried power even as his body was bound. "Am I leading a rebellion, that you come out with swords and clubs? Every day I sat with you in the temple courts, and you did not lay a hand on me. But this is your hour, the hour when darkness reigns." The disciples fled, fear scattering them into the night. The torches moved deeper into the city, dragging the light of the world into the shadows of men. The garden grew silent once more. But heaven was not silent. Angels watched in awe. Demons trembled in anticipation. The universe leaned in as the Son of God, having said yes to the Father, now walked the road that would lead to his cross. And in that silence, victory was already written. Because in Gethsemane, Jesus chose surrender over escape, love over fear, the Father's will over his own. That night, humanity held its breath, but heaven prepared to sing.